طيب this is 3.8 to 3.10 quiz. uh, I'll do 3.11 to 3.15 after this. uh, yeah, for this one's easy صراحة. It's only 6 questions or 7 questions. This recording will have 3.8 to 3.10 and 3.11, sorry, to 3.15. These two quizzes. Okay, now we're on 3.8 to 3.10. Okay, this is easy. The first one's pretty easy. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. This was in the AMS quiz. Equal in magnitude, opposite in direction. A ball of weight 3 newtons is falling in the air. At some moment, it experiences a drag force of 1 newton. Okay, for the weight pulling it down is 3 newtons. Okay, so let's try and imagine this. The weight is 3 newtons. Okay, weight, and it's experiencing drag of 1 newtons. Drag is this 1 newtons. Okay, the force exerted by the ball on the earth as it falls is 3 newtons directed upward. So you guys know that weight, weight, it's the force pulling, it's the force by earth pulling an object downwards. So you guys know the reaction force will be the opposite. So let's say a man pushed a door. A man pushed a door. The reaction would be the opposite. The door pushing man. That's not how I write man. It's مهم. You get what I'm trying to say. فif I if the force pulling the object down is the earth pulling the object 3 newtons, so the reaction would be the ball pulling the earth up now. Okay, so the weight is the earth pulling the object down, so the reaction would be the ball pulling the earth up. How much would it be? The exact same magnitude, which is 3 newtons. So instead of going down, it's going to be going up. And then for part B, the force exerted by the ball on the surrounding air. Okay, the drag force is the air pulling the object back, kind of like friction. Okay, that's of 1 newton. So the air is pulling the ball, so the reaction would be the ball pulling the air. And obviously it will have the same magnitude, but opposite direction. Instead of being the air pulling it up, the reaction would be the ball pulling the air down. Okay, this it's a bit يعني هيك لعب بالكلام if you know what I mean. Two spheres, A and B, are thrown towards each other in space. They collide, resulting in these forces. Okay, if you look carefully, this 5 newtons over here is for A, and this 5 newtons over here is for B. Okay, they're not for both spheres. Okay, so what's the magnitude of the force acting on A? 5 newtons. But why don't these forces cancel each other? It's because they're acting on different bodies. If you'd say 5 here, 5 here, they cancel, so they won't move. لا, they're different bodies. ف شو اسمه they won't cancel each other. What is the symbol for the representation of the force exerted by A on B? Simple, F A B. Whenever you say force exerted by man on door, it will be F man door. If you the boy force on the boy on the ball, would be B B. You know what I mean? This is how you do it. Okay, nothing too hard for this one. Uh, when a body exerts a force F on body B, B simultaneously exerts on A force F equal in magnitude and opposite direction. Basically, the action reaction force, the action reaction law. It's equal in magnitude and opposite in direction always. Okay, select the arrow represents the net force exerted by the surface on the box SB. طب, this force is pulling B on S. So the reaction to that would be the opposite direction of S on B, if you get what I mean. So this is pulling B onto S, so the reaction would be the opposite direction, and it would be S onto B. A block is immersed into water and it's held at rest by a cord. Okay, what are the forces? Okay, whenever an object is immersed into water, obviously there's going to be upthrust. That's something you always have, upthrust. And since it's held by a cord, or which is a rope, there's going to be tension. And obviously weight will always be pulling everything downwards. Okay, these are the three forces. Tension because it's a rope, upthrust because it's in the water, and weight because every object on earth is subject to weight. Okay, this one was in the AMS. Resting on an inclined plane, how do you know? It's when the normal force is like bent. Because remember, and I told you, it's always weight down and normal right above it. But normal will be perpendicular. So if they tell you inclined plane, that means the normal will be as the weight, the normal will be like this. Okay? Uh, وبعدين the second one, a lamp hanging from the ceiling. It's gonna be this one because they say T for tension. If it's hanging, that means there's a rope, so tension. With this one P, the ball kicked at an angle by a child. Here, the weight is every object is subject to weight, and this P is the kick, so it kicked it like at an angle. This is the angle. Okay. That's I think that's it for the 3.8 quiz. Yeah, that's it for the 3.8 quiz. Now the 3.11 quiz. Okay. Yeah, this is the 3.8 to 3. Ish 3.8. Sorry, قصدي 3.11 to 3.14. Course practice physics quiz. Uh, yeah, let's start. This one's a bit long. It's annoying. صراحة this quiz is annoying. بس the questions are annoying. Most of them came in the MS. We have a block. Okay, choose the correct magnitude of. They want to add the third force. Uh, in each case, you have to specify the magnitude of the force and which direction you have to put the force. To make the block stationary, that means the net force is equal to zero. The object is not moving, hence the net force is equal to zero. So if the net force is zero, that means these forces have to cancel out. So to do that, and the way I taught you guys last time, was to find the net force first. In this case, the net force, 5 minus 3, is 2 newtons to the right. So to cancel out that 2 newtons to the right, you have to put 2 newtons to the left. So now they cancel. Okay? So first find your initial net force and then see how you can cancel out that net force. The block moves with a constant speed. Again, when you have constant speed, معناتها the net force is zero. So same thing, 5 and 3 is 2 newtons to the right. To cancel out this 2 newtons to the right, you have to put 2 newtons to the left. And then the last one, the block moves to the right with a net force of 8 newtons. Same thing. First find your total net force, which is 2 newtons to the right. To make it 8 newtons to the right, we need to add 6 more newtons to the right. Now in this case it will be 8 newtons to the right. This one, question one, it's simple. Question two. In which they give you 4 blocks. In which situation is it possible that the block is stationary? Stationary يعني it's not moving. Okay, معناته the net force is zero. So you have to see where do the forces cancel out. Obviously it's not A. It's gonna be B because F1 and F2 cancel each other out. Obviously it's not C or D. يعني this one's self-explanatory صراحة. I don't think there should be any problems with it. But question 3. This is acceleration, and at certain times, the time at which the forces acting on the object are balanced. Balanced يعني the net force is zero. When the net force is zero, acceleration is equal to zero. Okay, always remember this. But you have to see where acceleration is equal to zero, and it's at time 2 seconds. Okay, time 2 seconds. Question 4. This one you memorize this one. What is the possible outcomes of a zero net force? Zero net force معناتها it's balanced, so it's gonna be at rest, and it's always gonna be constant speed, constant velocity. Okay, it obviously doesn't move in a circle. It's always a straight line. U or M. Okay, it doesn't decelerate. Uh, تحفظون هول. Which are unbalanced force, constant unbalanced force. Obviously the object doesn't remain at rest. It's gonna be moving. And it's not gonna be a constant velocity. It's gonna be accelerating. Always is gonna be accelerating. So it's going to be constant acceleration or constant deceleration. Okay, it's either one of these. It's never increasing acceleration or decreasing acceleration, if you know what I mean. It's either increasing at a constant rate or decreasing at a constant rate, always. uh, a group of students pull a glider along a track. Okay. Uh, Measure the resulting acceleration. They plot the results. Okay, the relation shown in the graph illustrates Newton's second law of motion. طب you can tell me, طب Newton's second law is F equals ma. What does F equals ma have to do with an acceleration force graph? Okay, why you have this is because Newton's law, Newton didn't say F equals ma as the second law. No, no, no. He said that the force is inversely proportional to the acceleration and mass. And in this case, the force is inversely proportional, or wait, is it directly? Sorry, yeah, the force is directly proportional. So the force is directly proportional to the acceleration. Okay, so in this case, if you look at the graph, as force increases, acceleration also increases. That's why it proves Newton's theory that force and acceleration are directly proportional, which is his second law, F equals ma. And then the mass of the glider, you guys know F equals ma. Yeah, F equals ma. فهي the mass is equal. Take a to the other side, F over m. Sorry, F over a, F over a. It will be, take any point. Let's take مثلا 0.804. So 0.8 is the force over 4. بيطلع لك 0.2. هلا ليكو. In physics, any mass you find is always in kilograms. Okay, it's always in kilograms. That's why the answer will be 200 because they want the answer in grams. So 0.2 times 1000 بيطلع لك 200 grams, which is the same. Okay, 7. uh, Force equals mass times acceleration. يعني حفظ idea. Okay, a block of weight 5 is sliding down an inclined plane at a constant speed of 0.2. The plane is inclined at 37 degrees over here. Okay, select the free body diagram. Okay, أول شيء, it's always, like I told you, whenever you have an inclined plane, there's always going to be weight pulling it down. And depending on how the inclined plane looks, in this case, the inclined plane is like this. Okay, the normal force will be perpendicular, always. Okay, and there will also be friction pulling it backwards. And in this case, that is this graph here. Okay, for this one, part A, I think it's pretty easy, but it's part B that most of you guys found tricky. The magnitude of the friction forces is something newtons. The magnitude of normal reaction is something newtons. Okay, هنا الجراف اللي عطونا هي هيدي. Okay, it's 37 degrees, they said, with the horizontal. If you look here, 37 degrees with the horizontal. Okay, let me make this 7 more clear. 37 degrees. Okay, we know that the box is over here. Okay, it's 5 newtons. The force is 5 newtons. Okay, so they want the frictional force. Okay, and they want the normal reaction. So Anna, like I told you last time, the frictional force would be كأنك you're finding the x component, fx, and the normal force, let's say friction equals fx, and the normal force would be this, right? كأنك you're finding fy, the vertical component. Okay, إذا بتتذكروا fx is always the force times cosine of your angle, and fy is always the force times sine of the angle. Okay, but another way I told you in the AMS was you can't use this angle here. You have to do 90 minus 37 and you get 53, and this is your angle because you want the angle that's up here. You want this. This is the angle you need to use. You can't use this angle down here. If you don't want to do 90 minus 37, you can directly flip these rules, and instead, for friction, you can just use the force times sine of the angle. Okay, and for the normal, you can use the force times cosine of the angle. I just flipped them. You see how I flipped them? Okay, this, you have two cases. This is if you did 90 minus the angle given, and this is if you're using the angle directly. Okay, انت حسب what you want to use. And in this case, let's أنا I like using 90 minus the angle. Okay, so let's use, it's gonna be, the force is 5 newtons. Okay, so it's gonna be 5 times cosine 53, which you get 3.01, I think, something like this, which you round it up to 3. Or normal reaction, and here it's gonna be, this time use sine, وبيطلع لك I think 3.99, which is rounded up to 4. Okay, هيدي that's how you solve. Okay, a block of mass 10 kilograms is projected along a rough horizontal surface. At initial speed of 10 meters per second, the block stops in 5 seconds. Use G is 10 meters per second squared. طيب, the accel they want the acceleration of the block. Okay, uh, usually do F equals ma and find the acceleration by dividing force by the mass. In this case, we don't have the force, so instead we have to use acceleration is velocity divided by time. In this case, acceleration is the velocity 10, negative 10, sorry, because it stopped, right? It's slowing down, so it's negative 10. Over the time, which is 5 seconds, you get negative 2 meters per second squared. Okay, هيدي كانت بالAMS the same question. The normal reaction of the block is 100 newtons. طيب, انتوا always remember that the normal reaction is equal to the weight. ففيل دايما the weight pulling the object down, and the normal reaction it's reacting to the weight. The normal reaction and the weight, they always cancel each other out. They always have the same magnitude. Okay. If you want to find the normal reaction, you should find the weight. Weight equals mass times gravity. Gravitational acceleration قصدي. The mass is 10. Gravitational acceleration is given 10. بيطلع لك the weight is 100, so the normal reaction will also be 100 newtons. Okay, please maintain, so if there's a written part, to always include your units, and please write down your formulas. إذا في written part على هالشي. Maybe get a ruler. You never know what they might ask you to draw. They might ask you to draw a free body diagram. You never know. Get a ruler. You should be prepared at all, يعني at all cases. uh, just so you don't get mixed up, the normal reaction is equal to the weight only when we're on يعني a straight surface. يعني when we're on like a table. Okay, this is when the normal reaction is equal to the weight. But when we're on an inclined plane, in the inclined plane, when you have the ball, the weight is not as the weight is not equal to the normal force. So it's only equal when we're on a horizontal floor, not an inclined plane. That's why they have to mention that it's on a horizontal floor. The magnitude of friction is how many newtons. Uh, to find friction, force equals mass times acceleration. Here mass is 10. Okay, the acceleration was negative 2 that we found here in part A. So you'll get negative 20, but a force can never be negative, so you take the absolute value, which is 20, and that's the answer, positive 20 newtons. Okay, yeah, this one I remember it was in MS also. We have, okay, there's the block is mass 0.2 kilograms. Okay, they're canceling out friction. They're saying frictionless. The forces F1 and F2 are directed along the x-axis. So F1 is 4 newtons. هكتبها هون. F2 هي 2 newtons. F3 is directed at an angle theta equals 60 degrees. So let's forget about F3 for now. Let's solve F1 and F2. بدون acceleration. Okay, always remember the acceleration is force divided by mass, because F equals ma. So mass to the other side, you get acceleration is force divided by mass. Let's find the force. Okay, the force in this case, it's F1, which is 4 newtons. So 4 newtons. 4 divided by the mass, which is 0.2 kilograms. وبيطلع لك 20 as your acceleration. For part, let's say this is B. For part B, هيدي قلنا 4 newtons وهيدي هي 2 newtons. Again, بدنا acceleration, which is F over M. The force, you have to find the net force. Is a 4 to the right or 2 to the left? It cancels out. You get 2 to the right. Okay, so your total force is 2 divided by the same mass, which is 0.2 kilograms. بيطلع لك 10. But yeah, that's for A and B. But هلا for C, it's a bit different. Okay, let me rub this so I have space. For C, now they're talking about F3. F3 is directed at an angle 60 degrees. فترسم هالخط هيدي 60 degrees. Okay. Uh, the نحن we want the acceleration, which again is F over M. So you have to find the total net force. فأنت they gave us F3 is 1 newton. أنت you can't F2 is 2 newtons to the left, صح؟ أنت you can't just do 2 minus 1, because obviously this one is at an angle. So you have to find the x component, صح؟ How do you find the x component? Fx equals the force, in this case we're talking about F3, times cosine of the angle. So Fx equals F3 times cosine 60, because the angle they give us is 60. For Fx is 0.5. For هيدي it will be 0.5 to the right, newtons to the right. And why didn't I do 90 minus 60 here? Because when the angle is given, it's with the horizontal. They said it below the horizontal, so عادي, it's fine. Okay. So you get 0.5 to the right, 2 to the left. They cancel out. بيطلع لك 1.5 to the left newtons. For our force will be 1.5 divided by the mass 0.2 بيطلع لك 7.5. طب why is the answer negative? Okay, نحن our net force was to the left وهنا قايلين take the positive direction to be the right. if the positive is right معناتها the left is negative. Since we ended up going to the left معناتها our answer should be negative 7.5. Okay. Question 11 هلا. okay هيدي كانت بالاي ام اس كويس كانت. A force F1 هيدي F1 it's 10 newtons. It's applied to box A which is 1 kilogram, which pushes box B which is 4 kilograms. The box slides over a frictionless surface, so they're cancelling out friction along the x-axis. What's the acceleration? F equals mass times acceleration. Acceleration equals force divided by the mass. The force is 10 newtons, which is given, with the mass in total, you plus them, is 5. So you get 2 meters per second squared. Please remember to put the units, okay, if you have written. Part B, the force FAB acting on block B by block A is how many newtons? Okay, we're only talking about the force acting on B. So نحن اللي بيهمنا هي block B. We're talking about the mass of block B. فلما بدنا we want to calculate the force F equals ma. The mass we're going to use only block B. Okay, which is 4. With acceleration عرفناها هي times 2. بتطلع 8 newtons. Okay. Okay. Part A, the total mass accelerated to the right by force F. How much is it pulling? Add these up. 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 9. Here 16. Or string 3 you're gonna add these, you get 15. Or string 1, obviously it's 9 kilograms by string 1. Okay, that's بسيطة يعني. But please remember, please pay attention to the question. قالوا frictionless floor. Okay, just to remind you, whenever you don't have friction, that means the acceleration is constant for all masses. Okay, just know that. So that's why here in part B, when they say compare the accelerations, okay, they're all equal. Why? Because it's a frictionless floor, so acceleration is it's not counted. It's equal for everything. But obviously in real life we always have friction. That's why acceleration of everything will vary in real life. But here they're saying, what if you didn't have friction? Drag and drop the tension forces. Tension 3 is greater than tension 2, greater than tension 1. Why are we saying tension? Because these are strings, yeah? They're ropes. Why are we saying tension 3 is greater than 2 than 1? Because look, tension string 3 is pulling A, B, and C. It's pulling all of this 15 kilos. String 2, it's pulling only 9 and 2. Or string 1, it's only pulling 9. فأكيد the greatest force will be the one pulling the greatest mass, which in this case is 3, followed by 2, followed by 1. Okay? This one, which is the net force, and where will it go? Okay, F1 and F3 cancel out. You're going to have a force kind of like this. And then what's in between these two is going to be something like this. It's a simple question. I think this came in the AMS also. Okay, what's the magnitude of the force? Oh, my fault. What's the magnitude of the force? Force equals mass times acceleration. الماس اللي عطونا هي 1200 والacceleration you have to find it. How do you find acceleration? Acceleration is velocity divided by time. 25 or 5, 25 divided by 5, your acceleration is 5. So 1200 times 5 بيطلع لك 6000 newtons. What would the net force be if the car moved uniformly? And I told you if the car moved uniformly معناتها acceleration is 0, URM معناتها the net force is always 0. It's a balanced force. Okay? Whenever you see moving uniformly معناتها the forces are balanced, the net force is 0. A bucket of mass 2 kilograms is being lifted by a rope. The bucket accelerates at the rate of 1 meter per second. Use G equals, okay. What's the weight of the bucket? Weight equals mg. W equals mg. Always remember. The mass is 2 والg هي 10. فبيطلع لك 20 newtons. The tension in the rope. Okay, انت you have to think the rope. انت what's the rope carrying? Let's look. This is the box. The weight is 20. Okay. وكمان في there's يعني there's an extra force, the friction force, or let's not say the friction force because we're going up in the air, so let's call it the air resistance, the drag force. في كمان another force that's pulling it down, that's stopping it from moving up. Okay, there's the tension up here that's pulling this box up. انت you have to find the total force that's down, that's gonna be equal to the rope, is gonna be equal to the force that the rope is pulling the box up with. فانت you have to take into account that F equals ma. قلنا the mass of the bucket is 2 والاcceleration هن يعطونا إياه is 1. So there's 2 newtons of air resistance that's pushing the box oppositely. يعني يعني the way I'm saying is complicated. يعني انت when you're carrying a box up, there's going to be weight pulling it down. وكمان there's going to be air particles hitting this box that's going to cause the air resistance force, let's call it the drag force, to also pull it down. So there's not only weight, there's also another force, the drag force, which is 2 newtons. فنحن قلنا 20 for the weight, 20 newtons for the weight, و 2 newtons للdrag force. In total, that means the tension force will be 2 plus 20, which is 22 newtons. Okay? بسيطة. How many questions? 18? Okay. Okay. A block of mass 1 kilograms. The rope makes an angle of 30. Okay. The force is 10 newtons. Use G is 10. Sine 30 is 0.5. Cosine 30 is 0.87. They want the horizontal acceleration. For they're basically asking for Fx. Whenever they say horizontal force, horizontal acceleration, أو هيك شيء بدهم Fx. أنت كيف بتلاقيها؟ لا ما فهمت. بدهم acceleration, horizontal acceleration. You know acceleration is the force divided by the mass. بس نحن we can't find it unless we find the horizontal force, unless we find Fx. Okay? فكيف بنلاقي Fx? In this case, it's the force given, 10 newtons. Let's say F1 times cosine of the angle. Why am I finding Fx? Because in the horizontal acceleration. To find the horizontal acceleration, you need the horizontal force, which is Fx. Fx will be equal to the force, which is 10, times cosine of what angle are we using? 30. And you do this in a calculator, you get 8.7. For now, we can go back to our formula. Acceleration equals the force, which now we found is 8.7 newtons, divided by the mass, which is 1 kilogram, and you get 8.7 meters per second squared as your answer. بعدين بيقولوا the weight of the block. انتوا بتعرفوا weight equals mg. The mass is 1 given, وg هي 10, so you get 10 newtons as your weight. اوكي وبارت سي بدهم النورمال reaction. نفس الشيء خذ البلوك، قلنا there's the weight pulling it down، وكمان there's like we said there's the horizontal part of the force. There's also gonna be sorry عفوا. نحن we have, this is the block, there's the weight pulling it down. We found the horizontal force, which was 8.7 newtons. وكمان since there's a horizontal, there's always going to be the vertical force, صح? In this case, the vertical force is going to be the normal reaction. So if you find the vertical force Fy, you will find your normal reaction. And يا الله. Let me repeat. انت عندك البلوك. In part A we found the horizontal force was 8.7 newtons. كمان إذا في horizontal أكيد حيكون في vertical. In this case هن يسموها, they called it the normal reaction, the vertical force, the Fy. How do you find Fy? It's the force F times sine of the angle. So Fy equals the force, which in this case is 10, times sine 30, and you're gonna get 5 newtons. Okay, question 17. A 5 kilogram box is placed on a table. Select the equation. Okay, the weight W equals mg. What else? Knowing that G is 9.8, what is the weight? W equals mg. أعطوك الماس 5 والG is هلا 9.8. you're gonna get 49. Yeah, this question's easy. Question 18. A body is free falling near Earth. What can be said about the body's acceleration? If a body is free falling, معناتها the forces are not balanced. If the forces are not balanced, you will have a constant acceleration. Okay? Like this بيكون خلص الquiz. This recording it covered I think 3.8 to 3.14. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Uh, يلا bye. Good luck everybody. Please make sure to get your rulers and pencils just in case they ask you to graph, and make sure you write down your units please.